This is episode number 7 of the Winning Wealth podcast. In today's episode, we talked about habits and routines for maximizing productivity and killing it in business. Went through a lot of cool stuff about different apps we use and different routines we follow. So tune in to hear the rest.
All right, today we are back, Winning Wealth podcast. Today we're talking about productivity hacks, healthy habits, routines, things that we're trying to do to be able to maximize our productivity, as business people and achieve the goals that we're looking to achieve, right? And I know you do a lot of things like that with data, and you've got your very routine oriented. So am I. So let's maybe kick it off. What do you think is maybe your top? What's your routine? Walk us through the routine.
Day to day. I think it started
An ideal day, right?
an ideal day.
Yeah,
I think
every day
it's changed a lot, right? I feel like when I first, before when I was working full time at a corporate job, right? It was my structure was more set, where it was it had to be in the office by 9. I was there from 9 to 5, and it was you get there and they're telling me what to do, right? So for me, when I left that to go create my own schedule, it was a weird first 2 months, right? I just didn't really know what should my day look like.
Yeah.
So that was about 2 years ago, right? So I think I've learned a lot about how to structure my day more and create more productivity.
There's a nugget in there, because when you don't have a set schedule, whether you're working in sales or you're doing real estate, you don't necessarily have to be at an office at a certain time. There's so much ambiguity throughout the day that having a routine in general kind of helps ground you, right? Something that's similar each day and that you can build off of, right? That helps you either get up, get going, get in the zone, get moving, knock off some things on your to-do list.
Yeah.
So not to derail you, but what did you come up with after those 2 months of floundering?
I think the biggest thing was a morning routine was the biggest changer for me, because I think for so long, everyone has their own iteration of a morning routine, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's just waking up and taking a shower and having a coffee and going into the day, right? But
yeah.
Everyone has their little what they do in the morning. But so for me, when I created more structure around what do I do in the first 1 to 2 hours before I log into my computer and start working, when I set more of a schedule around that, I think it helped a lot. And that's always changed, right? I've gone from having a full-blown 2-hour morning routine to slimming it down to 30 minutes. And, certain days it might not happen depending on what's going on. But for me, it's starting off, with some sort of, you wake up, get some vitamins in, get some protein in. I go on a walk out in the sun. That's big for me.
Clear out the bowels.
Yeah, listen to a podcast and do that in the morning.
Everybody.
Get that out of the way. And then, there's been different changes. I like the meditation stuff. I'll do that sometimes a little bit of yoga in the morning. But for me, some sort of movement in the morning, and then a cold shower is, that's key for me to kick my day off. Because then I just have more energy compared to just rolling out of bed and going straight into it. And some days you have to do that, right? If you have to start really early.
Yeah.
And I'm not a super early riser, I would say. I usually wake up around 6:30. So I'm not the wake up at 4 a.m. and getting after it. So that's been huge though for me.
Yeah, you're more of a night owl. I'm a morning early bird. So, and they always ebb and flow too. There's a lot of things that I wish I was doing more of that maybe I haven't. I think in the summertime sometimes you get a little bit lax on things, and you got to have some sort of controls in place to be able to monitor. Are you actually doing the things that you want to be doing? But I agree. So some sort of morning. How cold is the cold shower too, by the way?
Well, in Wisconsin, it gets pretty cold.
You go as cold as it gets?
I do. Yeah, it's usually I don't do a full I think a lot of people when they say cold shower, they think they're doing it for 5 minutes the whole time. No, it's the last 30 seconds to a minute is all the way cold. But I'd the cold plunge is definitely better. But I think the water gets cold as hell here in Wisconsin, so it does the trick a little bit.
Yeah. Cold plunge is awesome. I visited you in Miami, and we went to Anatomy, the gym that you were going to, and there's the cold plunge back there. And I walked into that thing thinking I was going to be able to sit there for 2 minutes, and I thought 10 seconds in,
39 degrees.
I was done.
It's cold as hell.
Yeah. But it is something that you can build yourself up to. I also do cold showers, but I don't do them full blown as cold as it gets. I just try to do it enough to shock the system a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't do them every day either.
Yeah.
I think part of this too is, we're not perfect. We're not like by any means so disciplined like Jocko, you know what I mean? Like, every day I get up at 4:30 and I take a picture of it, and then I go crush a workout, and then I, eat a shitload of, eggs and raw eggs. I know you like that, but it's like, these are just guidelines and things that we're trying to work on too, to get better.
What does your morning routine look like?
Yeah. So what I try to do, an ideal day is I get up, I usually work out at either 6 or 7 in the morning. So I try to get up at least an hour and a half before that workout. So sometimes those are some early mornings. And what I want to do is I review my finances on Mint, kind of like categorize them, reconcile a little bit. It's easier to do it if you do it every day versus like waiting for the end of the month or the end of the quarter, the end of the year. So that you just have a handle on how much cash you have, right? What your trends are looking like. And you could catch anything if there's any kind of weird, charges. So I like to do that. I do like to, and I was really good at spending time kind of meditating and sort of visualization around, what do I want my life to look like, personally, professionally. I've gotten away from that a little bit, and I want to get back to it. But it's mainly essentially reconcile the finances, kind of look over any emails and things that I might have missed. I read a couple daily newsletters that take about 2 minutes to read. Usually they're not always out if I'm doing the early morning workout, the 6 a.m. one. But then I go work out, and I like to work out early because if I don't do it early, there's a good chance that my day gets so hectic, and then by the time 4, 5, 6 rolls around, I'm not going to the gym at that point. It's just a long walk. So I try to go to bed early. I try to get up early. Kind of take care of, any sort of personal stuff before the workday starts, and then go work out, knock that out. I'm feeling great. I always have usually have a smoothie that has protein, spinach, blueberries, and bananas, and then that kind of kickstarts the day, and I'm ready to get into it.
So you mentioned using some apps to increase productivity. What are 3 apps you've used that have helped increase your overall productivity and performance?
I've been using an app called Way of Life for like 8 years. I'm not kidding. So you can look back at the data and the trends, like how often, and it's basically just a check mark. It's like, did you work out? Did you review your finances? Did you spend time like thinking about your goals, visualization, stuff like that? Did you eat clean? Did you get better at golf? Whether that's just because I suck at golf. So, whether that's, did I play golf? Did I hit the simulator? Did I, practice putting or chipping, or did I even just like study YouTube videos on golf that day? That one hasn't been in there for 8 years, but the core ones are eating clean, getting good sleep, working out, reviewing the finances. And so that's Way of Life is one app that I use every day. And I have for 8+ years, so I can see all the data, and I really like that. Other apps I've messed around with tracking my time. I want to get back into that. I know that you do that, and that's something that I want to talk through more. Just the Garmin app in general, right? That tracks my sleep, tracks, kind of everything, physically in your life, so you can kind of get a barometer check of like where you're at for the day. It's good and bad, right? Like it gives you a body battery score, and so sometimes it can get in your head like, oh shit, my body battery looks like shit today. I didn't sleep that well, and then that might be in your head a little bit, but I'd rather have the data than not. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the main things that I do right there. I use the reminders app on the iPhone to just stay on top of to-do lists, and I got to get this done for this thing. I got to get this done, and then throughout the day and different calls that I have in meetings throughout the day, then it's like knocking out those things that are on the to-do list. I would say those are the main ones. I'm always experimenting with other ones. There was a weekly kind of habit tracker, because there's different things that you want to do on a weekly basis that you're not necessarily going to do daily. Mm-hmm. But I kind of got off of that one too. I also like to simplify. as much as possible. So I don't want to add more apps in. I'm trying to find the necessary critical ones that allow me to, focus on what I want to get done and get that done. How about you?
Yeah.
What apps are you using?
We mentioned the time tracking ones. I use an app called a time logger. It's called, super basic, but I started doing that about a year and a half ago, where I track what I do every day into, I think I have 5 buckets. So it's like sleep, work, social, leisure / other, and health, and golf. Golf gets some bucket too. So that's like, I measure my time within those buckets, and I do it in the morning. Part of my kind of morning routine is I track what I did the previous day. So that allows me to see, then each week I look at the report of like, what did I do last week? And it's, as you get more data, right? Like the first couple of weeks isn't going to do much, but once you get more data, I can look and see like, so far this year, I looked at my average, how many hours have I worked on a week per week average so far this year, and it's 44.4 hours a week. So I kind of know like, what have I done? Like how much time have I spent with health? Like balance it out, sleep, as a percentage of my total time, how much am I sleeping? So that's been a good one for sure.
That one's interesting, not to derail you, but because I've wanted to use that more. I just don't know how to categorize it because I'm always like taking calls, right? So like, do you count that call that you took and maybe that took 20 minutes?
But yeah, you can choose your own buckets and like change them.
Yeah.
And I had to think through that too, like what makes the most sense without getting too complicated, because I don't want 50 different buckets of getting too in the weeds. I just more so wanted like the main ones, like understanding how much am I working, how much am I sleeping, how much time am I spending on health. So that's been a good one. And then with that too, like sleep, you mentioned sleep. So I use this Oura Ring thing, and I've had this for like over a year now too. It's been good to see like how different things affect your sleep, and it's like guided certain decisions, right? Like obviously you learned, everyone knows you drink, that's going to affect your sleep a lot. So I've seen how that's affected it for sure. But just, like measuring more like deep sleep, implementing different hacks to increase your deep sleep. So I've learned some different things about that.
What are some of those hacks?
Keeping the room as cold as possible. So I sleep at 67 degrees. That's a big one for deep sleep. Making the room as pitch dark as possible.
Yeah.
So like I used to have like a TV on, I'd have like some random light in the corner on. Now it's like pitch black, blackout curtains, like
a cave.
Yeah, that's helped a lot. Like no blue light, a few hours before you go to bed. I use the blue light blocker things. Certain things with like not drinking too much water right before you go to bed, so you don't have to wake up and pee all night. Different things like that have been. I use red lights in my room, so there's no like artificial light. It's all red light. Those sort of things have helped us sleep. So I'd say that for apps, the Oura app, that'd be the second one. Third one is I use an app called Strong for measuring workouts. That's been super good, just to more so like push myself to follow a certain workout template and like track like how much did I lift this week? Okay, go up 5 pounds. That's been a great one too. And I also throw in super basic, but like a Google Calendar or some sort of calendar to like follow. It always like amazes me when you talk to people that are in the business realm and like they don't use a calendar, or like if you say you send them an invite and like they don't.
I'm not even gonna bring. I
get the invite.
I'm not gonna do it, but I want to.
It's like surprises me. You're like, oh, I forgot about that. It's like, well, I sent you an invite. Like, see your calendar.
It's actually insane if people aren't using, and they're trying to be a professional and they're not using like a calendar app on their phone. Like that. It blows my mind.
Yeah. I mean, there's like some old school people sometimes, and maybe they just don't use technology. Like somewhat get that, but it's like if you know how to use a computer or a phone, like you should know how to use a calendar. But that's a great one, because then I wake up each day and I know like, hey, okay, I got 4 meetings at these times, and I use the reminders, right? If there's something I think of right now, like, oh shit, I got to get that done, I'll set a reminder, do it later today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like I know, like, hey, I got to knock that out today. So that's super good to keep everything on track, and because when you have so much things going on, like you can't just go off memory, you're gonna forget things.
Yeah.
So I would say those are the main ones I use for sure.
Let's talk about your diet. I know you're big into that. You're throwing steaks around all the time.
Steak toss,
if you've seen the steak toss on Instagram, check it out.
I gotta step that one back up. I haven't done that in a little bit. But
you were a little bit weak on the steak you had on Saturday, and I didn't think he was gonna get it down.
I got it down.
Yeah. You really had to fight through it.
It's a big steak.
Wasn't that big.
The diet, so I started doing the carnivore diet it's been about 2 years now, and so it's just a lot of red meat, dairy, fruits. So I'd say I follow that 85% of the time.
Yeah.
Like I'll also on the weekend, if we're having pizza that night, I'll have pizza. Like I'm not like strictly on it.
Yeah.
But during the week and most weekends, I'm following that. And I've seen like it really, so like when I decided like to do it, I was trying to find something that was more going to give me more energy, right? So I was researching like what diets give you more energy, increase your testosterone, like make you stronger. So that's what I landed on. So I just tried it and I liked it. I like taste steak too, so that helps. But it's been good. Like, and I've looked at like, I wish I had the exact numbers on hand, but like I looked at like, so like testosterone is such a big thing, right? It plays such a role in like energy, strength, like so many different things as a male. Testosterone is key. So this diet's like, exactly. So this diet's like very optimized to increase testosterone. So I like measured my testosterone before I started it versus after, and it went up like 60% or something.
Wow.
It was like, went way up to where it's like, now it's like way above the average.
Did you have any negative consequences with eating all that red meat?
So I got my blood tested a few months ago, and everyone's always like talking shit, like, oh, your cholesterol is probably horrible. The doctor said, no, like you're good. It was slightly above the average, and I'm on a supplement now that's like helping that out, but it wasn't like off the charts.
A supplement or something that was prescribed to you?
No, just a natural supplement that the doctor recommended for like it's like red rice yeast or something, some pill I take in the morning. But yeah, I've liked it and I'm continuing to follow it.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I tell people this a lot. Like when I first started working, I was going to a lot of business meals, and I was like 23, 24 years old, right? And I was just, oh shit, free food, let's go. I'll take 2 of those sandwiches, like, and 2 bags of chips too, and 2 cookies, there's extra, let's do it. And then you just get this afternoon lull where you're like, oh my God, I don't feel like doing anything. So the reason that I try to eat the way that I eat is just to have energy throughout the day. So I eat a high protein diet as well. Not nearly as much red meat as you, but more like chicken and fish, and just try to like limit the carbs. If I'm eating carbs, like I love pizza or pasta, on a weekend night for dinner or something like that. Don't get me wrong, I'll be the first one there, but especially if it's good pizza, good pasta, but I try to stay away from the carbs during the day at least, right? Because you're gonna drag.
If you implement something and you do it for 3 weeks and it's like, well, I'm just not seeing any, net benefit from that routine I added in. So then what?
I think you have to give it. I think there's I think 18 days is like the, like there, and it fluctuates. It's like 18 to like 70 days, depending on which study you see, but to build a new habit. So I think you got to be willing, if you want to do something, that you got to start and actually think, I'm going to do this for 2 months. 2 or 3 months at least, so that I can figure it out. So whether that's like and if it's waking up early, right? That was one that I struggled with for a long time. I mean, that's pretty simple for me now, because it's like, go to bed early. If you go to bed early, you can wake up earlier a lot easier. And then the next part is if you kick your own ass in a workout that morning, and then get a decent amount of steps in and activity in throughout the day, and probably use, a lot of brain power throughout the day through meetings and stuff like that, or whatever you're doing. Typically you're pretty tired then again around 9 o'clock. You can go to bed early and just stay on it. But I also say to kind of start small and inch into things. Don't, if you're like, I need to wake up early. I know people that wake up at 3 in the morning or 3:30 in the morning, right? Like you don't just start right there. That person probably was like normally an early person, early bird. But then, they probably, went from 5:30 to 5:15 or 5, and then right before 5 a.m. and then inch their way down for what makes the most sense for them. I have the most energy in the morning, so I do get a second wind at night, especially if I'm out at something social or whatever. Then I can definitely turn it on and get amped up that way. But I would say any habit that you're looking to do more of, like getting in the gym, right? That's another great one. Don't try to go in and just like kill yourself on day one if you never work out, right? Because then you're just going to be so sore that you're like, I'm not putting myself through that anymore. So, I think it's starting small, inching into it, and just making it a consistent like thing that you're going to check off the box that day. Like,
I agree.
That's why that 75 hard thing's so good too. I've been thinking about doing that, but it's intense.
No alcohol. That's the biggest.
No
one for
alcohol,
me.
no like no
I think I
cheat
do the
meals.
workouts and like
You'd struggle with those cheat meals
cheat
too.
meals. I like ice cream. Yeah.
Ice cream, Diet Cokes.
Yeah.
Here we
Yeah.
just came from a lunch. We had 2 big sandwiches, chicken sandwich at least, grilled chicken. And
Yeah,
I got the fruit. You had the chips.
I think the workout part I'd be fine with, but strictly on the diet is tough.
Sure is.
Drinks in the summertime and stuff.
But it would be cool to do it. I have that in the back of my mind. At some point, I'm going to do it. But
So what on the topic of alcohol? What do you? So we both drink.
yeah, this is one I struggle
But-
with. There's no doubt.
What parameters do you set around? Because you see it all the time, like people on the golf course, right? Like as an example, like if I have a tea time on Random Tuesday, right? And it's like noon. In Wisconsin, especially, people like to drink, and it's like always
That they do.
any activity in Wisconsin
That we do.
usually revolves around drinking. So like, what do you do to not? Because obviously, drinking isn't a positive factor really in productivity, obviously. So like, what parameters do you set in your life to like still have fun and do that, but also be productive?
There's an app called Sunnyside or Sunnyside Up or something like that, and it's an app that's and I'm kind of testing it out a little bit. It's not focused on like getting people to not drink. It's just like you set like sort of a weekly limit on Sundays, and you can pick how many drinks you think you're gonna have on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So like and then trying to stick to that like it's like a quota, right? So I would say I try to not drink at least 2 or 3 nights a week. And on those nights, I really try not to do anything social. I try to just basically be like work all day, walk the dog, make dinner, chill, go to bed early, right? Because the thing is, I like to have fun too. There's no doubt about it. Like I'm very, very much work hard, play hard. And, I don't know. I think, on the weekends, right, it's just trying to find ways to go to bed earlier too, right? Like if you get convinced to go out with a group of people and they're going to be out late, like you're probably going to have more drinks, right? So it's like trying to, there's people that I know that they have a strict rule. They don't drink until at least 5 or 6 o'clock, and then they don't have anything else after 9 or 10, right? And that can be a great way to do it too. Like, hey, I'm going home at 10, period. And I don't think, again, you want to have some constraints, but you want to be fluid within those constraints, right? Like, for example, breaking bread with a client or an investor or someone that you might want to do a deal with, whatever, a customer, client, investor, another, someone selling a building, I would say alcohol is not all bad, right? You can build a lot of rapport over a couple beers, right?
Yeah.
And or a couple drinks or a couple glasses of wine or whatever. But breaking bread with someone is, and the other thing is that's nice about it is people kind of let their guards down. They let their true self show. So like, I don't know if I'm doing it the right way, right? It's the same thing with, zins or ons, right? Like I don't know if they're good for you. Probably not at all, but can they help give you a little kick of energy at times?
There's positive health benefits to nicotine.
I've heard that. I've heard there is.
I haven't researched it too much, but I know.
Me either.
I've seen stuff about it.
A nootropic.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Productivity. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta fight any sort of
hard.
addictions, and if you feel like you have one, like if you are someone that wakes up and is like, I gotta have a drink, right? And I've never felt that way.
Yeah.
That is, that anytime you identify some sort of addiction, right, you got to just nip it in the bud instantly, as quickly as you can, right? Because that's how you go down a slippery path. Jocko calls it getting back on the path of discipline, right? Like everybody veers off of it, right? It's easy to veer off of it around 4th of July weekend and Summerfest going on in Milwaukee, right? It's easy, but it's how quickly can you just get back on, go handle your business, and then, schedule out the times that you're, maybe going to ease back on that, have some fun. It's important to be social too, right? Golf is a social sport. You don't have to drink while you're golfing. A lot of people I know don't, but they call it aiming fluid, swinging juice.
Sometimes it helps. What, so you mentioned the nicotine pouches. What what's the performance enhancement substances?
PEDs, PE.
Substances, 'cause it's not a drug. Maybe it's a drug. What is there anything you use to increase your productivity or just overall enjoyment?
Yeah, that's a loaded question because overall enjoyment.
Or I guess more so productivity. Like,
Yeah, I do caffeine. Every morning, I should have said this in the morning routine thing, but I drink this Pure Boost thing. Most people go to coffee right away. And I, for a long time, didn't drink coffee because I would get bad acid reflux. I've kind of gotten better with that, and that I would attribute to my diet and drinking less.
yeah,
Boom, boom, right there. If you eat clean and you don't drink much alcohol or like acidic foods, I stay away from for the most part. You don't really have, it's like it went away like that. I think there's stress-related acid reflux too, but so I drink this electrolyte drink that has caffeine in it in the morning. Then I go work out. I feel like I'm hydrated. I got some caffeine going. I would like to dial it back on the caffeine too, but I do love it.
How many milligrams of caffeine do you think you have a day?
200.
It's good.
Yeah, I do 100 in the morning, and then I have these little 50 milligram caffeine plus L-theanine, I think is how you say it. And I have those, they're called like little focus pills or whatever. I got them on Amazon. So I'll pop one of those maybe after lunch and then, pop another one.
Yeah.
If I need to power through more, it gives you a little jolt. So I don't think it's a crazy amount of caffeine, but it probably could get better.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I'm 300 to 500.
Oh my God.
A lot of it from the pre-workout. I take pre-workout, and that's like 200-300 right there.
Oh my God.
I have a coffee and sometimes a little mixed in there too. So it's more, but so caffeine, anything else?
Caffeine. I take Alpha Brain, which is, I don't even know exactly. Huperzine. It's got a blend of stuff in there. It might have even lion's mane stuff in there. I don't know.
It's a Joe Rogan thing, right?
Well, it's on it, and Joe Rogan's like a sponsor of it. So, and that's a nootropic too. I don't know for sure if it. I can't really tell if it works, to be honest. But
placebo, yeah.
But even the placebo effect is good enough for me, right? Like, and it's not something that you take and just instantly you're expected to feel it. Like, you're supposed to take it, on a daily basis. So I do that. There's this thing called Kratos Performance. I literally just did a video for them today. I got a free, shipment of it for doing this, like a testimonial video.
Yeah.
It's the best thing that I've found that, allows you to, focus, get in the zone for work, but not necessarily crash and come down afterwards. So,
yeah, I don't know how you found it, but you turned me on to that too. And I think
a buddy of mine found it. He likes solid. It. You like it.
I don't do it every day. I do it maybe
to another buddy
once or twice a week, but I think it's like, I used to take Adderall for a while, right? I never really took it every day, but like I was prescribed to it. I would take it once a week and just like work like 20 hours a day and just get a whole bunch of shit done. And I think the Kratos stuff is like very similar effect and feeling, but without the crash. It like doesn't last as long.
Yeah.
It's like 4 or 5 hours, but no crash.
Exactly.
And, I've definitely enjoyed those. There's a lot of good things out there to enhance productivity, as long as they're healthy. There's a lot of very unhealthy things too, but I think a certain mix of those sort of things isn't bad. Yeah, I think we touched on some good stuff. I think that's the pod.
That'll do it.
Thanks for listening to the episode. I hope you learned something here. We are super passionate about this topic of, the podcast premise is wealth, health, and happiness. So we really touched on a lot of the health stuff here, but ultimately leads into a lot of the stuff that falls into wealth. So hope you got something from here and appreciate you listening.